Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a very interesting episode for you guys, so stick around for that. But before we do that, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. So y'all know that the Brooklyn Nets, we've done some videos on these guys. We even did a video last night talking about the relationship between Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and how that may be strained. And I think that the Nets have been the center of so much drama over the last few weeks, right? It's like if you search NBA news, right? You're either going to see Ben Simmons or the Brooklyn Nets. And in the case of the Nets, it has everything to do with the vaccination status of Kyrie Irving. Why? Because Kyrie Irving so far has been unclear about whether or not he'll be vaccinated or not. And we all know the implications that this brings. Why? Because if Kyrie Irving does not get vaccinated, he won't be able to play home games. There are 41 home games, and he could potentially not only miss 41 home games, which could hurt his team's record and his chemistry, but number two, he could also risk losing half of his salary for the year. And if the Brooklyn Nets make it to the playoffs, which I believe they will, there's a chance that if he's still not vaccinated, if he remains unvaccinated, he could miss playoff home games, which to me is incomprehensible. I think this situation is creating a distraction around the team. I think it's doing that. And I also think it's creating a lot of uncertainty because we don't know if he's going to be fully available. But it just doesn't end there, because last year there was more of this drama sort of surrounding Kyrie Irving, right? And I think Kyrie Irving is one of the most talented players in the NBA. However, he's a bit of a diva. Last season, he would abruptly take time off from work. I think at one point he took off, a week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever it was, to sort of find himself. And it's something that kind of rubbed a lot of people outside the Brooklyn Nets the wrong way. He said some kind of condescending things to the media, media members talking to pawns and all of these different things I disagreed with at the time, because some people are coming to our channel, maybe discovering it now, and they're saying, why don't you have anything negative or critical to say about Kyrie Irving? And I'm like, well, you haven't been around for long enough, because I've made my thoughts clear on some of the things that I did in the past and how I really vehemently disagreed with some of the things that he was saying to other people, because it seemed as if he was condescending, which made me begin to think. And I started to wonder, I said to myself, should Kevin Durant, given the fact that he's really the centerpiece of all of this, should Kevin Durant have taken the opportunity to play with Kawhi Leonard when he had the chance? And I know some of you guys are like, what? Yes, Kevin Durant in 2019 had an opportunity to become teammates with Kawhi Leonard during free agency in the summer after he had won the NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors, and he was looking for a new team to play with, and he was trying to figure out who he was going to play alongside in this new team that he was playing with. So I have an article that I want to read from you from CBS Sports, and this dates back to 2019, July 7, 2019. Short read, so I want to read some of it here. And the headline goes like this. Kawhi Leonard tried to recruit Kevin Durant to the Clippers before start of free agency, per report. New Clippers superstar forward Kawhi Leonard wanted to make sure that there was another top-tier player with him in Los Angeles. And in that vein, he did some serious recruiting. Although Leonard was ultimately able to convince Paul George to join him on the Clippers by requesting a trade from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Leonard reportedly first reached out to another one of the league's best forwards. According to a report from ESPN Ramona Shelburne, Leonard recruited all-star forward Kevin Durant pretty heavily in the weeks leading up to free agency. Although Durant ultimately turned down Leonard's request and instead signed a 4-year max deal with the Brooklyn Nets, he was flattered by the recruitment. Kevin Durant was getting ready to commit to the Brooklyn Nets, along with his good friends Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan. They'd all grown close in the 2016 United States Olympics team and had talked often about playing with one another someday. All that remained was for free agency to officially open on the evening of June 30th. Then Durant got a call from Kawhi Leonard asking if he would consider teaming up with him and signing with the Clippers. They'd be great compliments to each other, Leonard told Durant. He'd always admired him and had tremendous respect for him as a competitor. Durant was flattered and more than a little stunned, according to sources close to the situation. He didn't know that Leonard that well, so getting a recruiting call like that made a real impression. Leonard's ambition in trying to recruit Durant to the Clippers suggested he was serious about joining LA in free agency, but it also suggested that they needed to get him another star. And ultimately, Kevin Durant turned down an opportunity to play with Kawhi Leonard and instead chose to play with Kyrie Irving. Here's what I think. I think that was a huge mistake. I think it was a huge mistake if we're just talking about basketball. When healthy, I think Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the world. Some people will say, no, he's number 2, number 3, whatever it is. I think he's number 1. And I think that if Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard had joined forces, they would never lose. Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, if they played together, they would never lose. First of all, they're the 2 best wing players in all of basketball. They're the 2 best wing players in either conference. Now, some people are going to take exception. Why don't you say Giannis? Fine. If you want to say it's Giannis, whatever, I believe it's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the best wing player in the East. Kawhi Leonard is the best wing player in the West when healthy. Nobody's going to sit up here with a straight face and tell me that LeBron James at this stage in his career is better than Kawhi Leonard. No one would say that, right? They're also the 2 most efficient scorers as wing players. If you go back and look at Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard's numbers these last playoffs, they were literally identical. These guys are not only offensive machines, they are frighteningly efficient. They don't waste their opportunities. And if you had a scenario in which you had Kevin Durant on the Los Angeles Clippers instead of Paul George, in my honest opinion, there is no way in hell that both Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard in Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets 2 years ago, they blow that 3-1 lead. There's just no way. It is unconscionable to think of a scenario in which both Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant go cold in a Game 7. That would have been impossible. Just think about this for a second. Think about all of the things that the people have said about Paul George. Now imagine replacing Paul George with Kevin Durant. They would never, ever, 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 ever lose. And to be quite honest with you, I think they would have won a championship already by now. I think they would have won a championship already. Some guys are you sure about that? Okay, let me say this in another way. Imagine if Kevin Durant was playing with the Clippers just last season. Kawhi Leonard goes down in Game 4 in the second round against the Utah Jazz. But instead of having Paul George, you still have Kevin Durant playing with Reggie Jackson, playing with Nicholas Batum, playing with Marcus Morris Sr., playing with Terrence Mann, playing with Luke Kennard. All of these guys on the Clippers roster being coached. You think they lose to the Phoenix Suns? Are you kidding me? So to me, listen, I think that was a huge mistake if we're just talking basketball. And although Kawhi Leonard, his own drama is load management, trust me, for a guy that load manages, I don't know how he ended up with the best winning percentage in the history of basketball in the playoffs in the regular season. If Kawhi Leonard is healthy, you know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's not temperamental in that way. And to me, I just think it was a mistake. And I think if they were teammates, let me say it again, they would never lose. Ever, 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 ever lose. And I think that they would have a championship right now. And I think they will be the championship favorites every single year because these players, both of their games complement each other perfectly, right? Perfectly. Kawhi Leonard could just decide one night, you know what? I'm just going to play defense for the entire night and lock down whoever. I don't even need to score because I got bro over here. They can hit you up for 65 points if he decided to. They would be that lethal. And I think if you put Kevin Durant on the Clippers and you remove Paul George and you kept Kawhi, they would never lose, ever lose. And to me, I think that it probably was a mistake. Obviously, this is just my own kind of scenario that I made up here, but that's what I think. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think KD should have chosen Kawhi Leonard over Kyrie Irving when he had the opportunity? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.